Live from Television Nigerian studio, this is the world news. First, the headlines. Tribunal sacks Milaye, orders fresh elections. 4 die, 100 hurt in Poland's Tatra Mountains thunderstorm. And Putin orders reciprocal Russian response over U.S. missile test. Thanks for joining us. This is the World News on Television Nigerian. I am Priscilla Eworm. The Election Petitions Tribunal sitting in Lokoja has sacked Senator Dino Melaye as the senator for Kogi West and ordered that fresh elections be held in the senatorial district. The three-man panel led by Justice A.O. Chijoke in a unanimous judgment on Friday accepted Adeyemi's ground an order for re-election into the senatorial axis. Senator Smart Adeyemi, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, has approached the tribunal for redress, saying that the collation of results from the poll was done in Lokoja instead of Kaba, the senatorial headquarters. However, Dino Melaye has described the ruling of the Kogi West Election Petition Tribunal nullifying his victory in the March 22, 2019 election as a miscarriage of justice. Melaye, in a statement, said he has confidence in the appeal court to right the wrongs as contained in the pronouncement of the judgment, appealing to his supporters to remain calm as their mandate is safe and secured and cannot be taken through any mischievous means. A Zimbabwe opposition member of parliament, Amos Chibaya, is due in court to face charges that he flouted a police order banning planned anti-government protest last Friday. Chibaya is the national organizing secretary for the country's Movement for Democratic Change Party, whose party failed in its attempt to challenge the police ban in the High Court. Last week, police violently dispersed protesters who had gathered to take part in the demonstration in the capital Harare before the party called them off at the last minute. Joseph Gandhi, a journalist with Wateteza TV, has been arrested in Tanzania after being accused of publishing fake news about alleged police abuse of suspects in custody. Watetezi TV, which was established last year by the Tanzania Human Rights Defenders Coalition, issued a statement condemning Gandhi's arrest, saying he was being held at a police station in the main city of Dar es Salaam. Human Rights Defenders Coalition said the police in Iranga had responded to the report with a warning that issuing false and misleading reports that aim at degrading the Tanzania police force and the government as a whole would not be tolerated. Since President John Magufuli, nicknamed the bulldozer, came to office in 2015, laws overseeing the media has been toughened and a number of newspapers and radio stations have been suspended for incitement. Magufuli has often warned about fake news in the wake of articles critical of the government, saying there are limits to press freedom. Let's take a short break right now and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Cut a slice of the north-central Nigeria with its raw mix of cultures, treasures, and amazing people. Bask in the vibrant glory of the beauty of nature with striking landscapes. And that's the best from agriculture, commerce and entrepreneurship. Put in a mix of local politics and governance from a resourceful people with amazing lifestyles, and you are right in the center of the northern Nigeria. North Central Journal, a compendium of people, places, news and views, all in an amazing mix that bears it all. Only on Television Nigerian.
Thanks for being there. And if you're just joining us, this is still the World News on Television Nigerian. Moving on, the Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki, says 4 people have died and more than 100 injured during a thunderstorm in Poland's Tatra Mountains on Thursday. Lightning hit a group of tourists on Gilwand, a 1,894-meter mountain in Poland. After a sunny morning turned stormy, tourists climbing the mountain often aim to end their trip at the summit, where a 15-meter iron cross was installed in 1901. The mayor of Zakopane, Leszek Ruler, has declared Friday a day of mourning. All the victims were hurt in different parts of the Tatra range, which spreads over 57 kilometers in southern Poland. Jonah Siraza, spokesman for the Krakow ambulance service, said 5 helicopters have been involved in the rescue efforts, and more than 24 rescuers were trying to save 2 cavers trapped in the Tatra mountains after a tornado flooded and blocked their exit. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday ordered a like-for-like response to a recent U.S. missile test, which he said showed that Washington aimed to deploy previously banned missiles around the world. The Pentagon said on Monday it had tested a conventional configured cruise missile that hit its targets after more than 500 kilometers of flights, its first such test since the demise of a landmark nuclear pact this month. Putin told his Security Council on Friday that Russia could not stand idly by and that U.S. talk of deploying new missiles in the Asian Pacific region affects Russia's core interest as it is close to Russia's border. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper said this month he was in favor of placing ground-launched intermediate-range missiles in Asia relatively soon, and Putin complained this week that the United States are now in a position to deploy its new land-based missile in Romania and Poland. Despite his order, Putin said Russia remained open to talks with the United States aimed at restoring trust and strengthening international security. Still to come, federal government to roll 60% of 2019 budget in 2020. This and more after this break. Stay with us.
Cut a slice of the north-central Nigeria with its raw mix of cultures, treasures, and amazing people. Based in the vibrant glory of the beauty of nature with striking landscapes. And that's the best from agriculture, commerce and entrepreneurship. Put in a mix of local politics and governance from a resourceful people with amazing lifestyles, and you are right in the center of the northern Nigeria. North Central Journal, a compendium of people, places, news and views, all in an amazing mix that bears it all. Only on Television Nigerian.
Thanks for being there. You can watch us on our social media platforms by searching Television Nigerian. Now moving on to the business news. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, says lack of aggressive implementation of the 2019 budget meant that 60% of the budget had to be rolled into the 2020 budget. The minister stated this on Thursday at his inaugural meeting with representatives of various departments and agencies of the ministry after his reappointment by President Muhammadu Buhari. Ngige noted that the executive arm of government would always find it difficult to implement the budget if it suspended that it had been tampered with during presentation at the National Assembly. He assured that his ministry would begin packaging on its 2020 budget after the National Assembly assurance that it is submitted in September. It would be returned to the ministry in December for implementation. He warned that any department under the ministry found guilty of colluding with National Assembly members to pad its budget will be dealt with, adding that the ministry would monitor job losses with the aim to stem the tide while pursuing various ways of creating more jobs. And on to sports. Former Ghana Nottingham Forest and Bristol Rovers striker Junior Agogo has died at the age of 40. Agogo suffered a stroke in 2015 and struggled with his speech afterwards. He sealed his place in the hearts of Ghana fans with his performances at the 2008 Africa Cup of Nations, where he scored 3 goals, including a late winner against Nigeria in Accra. Agogo, who began his career at Sheffield Wednesday, played 27 times for his country and scored 12 goals. He finished his career at Hibernian in 2012, having also had spells in the United States, Cyprus and Egypt. His former clubs were among those to pay tribute on social media. One of Nigeria's most successful women's internationals, Ifeanyi Chiejin, has died at the age of 36 after a long illness. Chiejin, who played for Nigeria at the 2000 and 2008 Olympic Games, 4 times Women's Africa Cup of Nations titles. She was the youngest player at the 1999 Women's World Cup in the United States and went on to play at the 2003 and 2007 tournament. Chiejin, who will be remembered for her outstanding display at the 2007 Africa Games in Algeria, played professionally in Russia, United States, Finland and Kazakhstan. Locally, she played for Flying Babes FC, FCT Queens of Abuja and the Pelican Stars of Calabar. Meanwhile, Nigeria Football Federation has paid tribute to Chiejin on social media. That was the World News on Television Nigerian. Before we go, a recap of the stories that made headlines. Tribunal sacks Melaye, orders fresh elections. We also told you that 4 people were 100 were hot. I beg your pardon, we also told you that 4 people died while 100 were hot in Poland's Tatra Mountains thunderstorm. Putin orders reciprocal Russian response over U.S. missile test. Thanks for watching. I am Priscilla Iwurum. Do join us at 8 p.m. for the news hour.
Audio Jungle.